What's up, everybody? I'm Kelly Johnson, the host of the Daily Grind podcast, the official podcast of the Kelly Johnson Foundation. The goal of our foundation is to make a difference and share and support future leaders. Tune in today's episode and follow our podcast on Spotify and Apple to stay up to date with all the content and events. Links are in the description. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Daily Grind. My name is Kelly Johnson, your fun and friendly host. We are on episode 7 of season 7, the very best one yet. I'll keep the introduction short because we have a special guest on today's podcast. I'd like to introduce Chad Frick. Chad's an independent artist based in Nashville, Tennessee, who has recently quit his job to focus on music full time. His authentic, soulful sound and his honesty and sincerity will easily leave you wanting more. He sings on his personal experiences of home, family, and the future. And then this past November, he released his debut album, Momentum, which is available on all streaming platforms. So welcome to the show, Chad.
Yeah, Kelly, thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
Yeah, we're excited to have you on the show, Chad. Our listeners are beyond excited to learn more about your story, what you do. So maybe throw some music puns in here. I'm gonna hand the mic off to you if you can introduce yourself and what you do on your daily grind.
Hand the mic off to me. Cool. Thank you. Yeah, so my name is Chad. Like Kelly said, I grew up in Montgomery County, Maryland. I went to college at Clemson University. I graduated May 2023. Upon graduation, I moved to Tampa, Florida, where I was a booking agent for a year. After a year of that, I realized that I didn't want to book shows. I wanted to play them for myself. And since then, I left that job in May. My daily grind has been doing that and writing songs, recording songs, writing everything, trying to be a writer, songwriter, musician. So thank you for asking, Kelly. Thanks for teeing me up for that.
Exactly. We're excited to learn more about your background, your story, and all the goodness. How long have you been based in Nashville?
I moved here January 1st, so we are recording this February 11th. Today's day 40, which is awesome. 40 days and 40 nights so far.
There we go. Perfect timing when we have guests on the show, on the Daily Grind. Really excited. I would say the first big money question our listeners are probably intrigued about, and we teased in the intro, obviously, your background in music. What led you to getting into this space, start singing? Like, was it from a young age you learned this? Like, tell us more about how you've built this journey with your talent.
Yeah, I think that the introduction to music, when I was a kid, I liked High School Musical and I liked Camp Rock, which sounds ridiculous because those are, I was probably like 5 or 6 when those came out. And then when I knew it was okay and cool to like music was watching the Johnny B. Good scene, Back to the Future, when Marty McFly plays it to save his own life and have his parents fall in love. So my parents bought me a guitar for Christmas. I believe I was 9, and my uncle taught me the basic chords, and I didn't really take it seriously until high school. I just picked it up again, wanted to learn, and messed around in my room. It was a cool pastime, cool hobby. The first song I learned was Brown Eyed Girl, and you said, when did I discover that I had, did you say talent? I wouldn't say I ever really discovered that I had talent, but I think I cultivated the skill. I kind of viewed it as, this is something to be learned the way that you can learn a subject in school, or you can read a book and just grow your own knowledge. And I think that I reached a point probably this last year that I was like, oh, I am competent enough to do this and show other people.
Yeah, really well said, Chad. And that's a great song, by the way. We always put that in the queue on the Spotify playlist here.
Oh, do you, Brown Eyed Girl?
I'd say,
Second
yeah.
one is Hey There Delilah, if that's also on the playlist.
Sure, yeah, what fuels our grind, literally. But in terms of the skill, the strength that you've taken, what also propelled you or motivated you to continue with that? Did you have a passion for music then, or even playing guitar, like all the way through college and like post-college as well? Like, what fueled you to continue on? Because, I mean, at a younger age, a lot of our daily grinders out there trying to navigate, or even before high school, like what their interests are or passions. Did you have like a light bulb moment or something that stuck with you when learning this skill?
I did have a light bulb moment in terms of writing, not necessarily in terms of guitar. It's actually further along in college. It was less than a year ago, or excuse me, it was after college, so it was less than a year ago. I was in Tampa working as a booking agent. My friend, his name's Brian Goldstein. I'll shout him out. He's the CEO and founder of an alcohol company called Palm Pouch, and he's a couple years older than me, and he was at a point in his life that I wanted to be at, and that I want to be at when I'm his age. So I think he was 26 and I was 22 at the time, and he ran his own business and was doing successful, and he had a lot of fulfillment in doing that. And I was just sitting there talking with him, asking him how that ended up happening. And he said, I didn't really follow my passion. I don't think you should follow your passion. You should do what comes natural to you. And I really liked, trying to find what comes naturally to me. So I went home and I've always kept journals. I've always been a writer, essays, poems, short stories, whatever it is. And I wrote like a 3-page essay to myself trying to determine what came naturally to me until I looked at it and I was like, oh, you're an idiot. This is what comes naturally to you. It's the writing itself. And that was the closest thing I've had to a eureka moment. And I realized that the most exciting way, at least at this point in my life, to display my writing and cultivate it and get better at it would be through songs. Poems are like, they're good. I like them. I'm glad I write them, but you can't really make people dance with poems. You can make people dance with songs. So,
Yeah, really well said. Yeah, quite the light bulb moment, or turning the on switch on here, and continue on in this journey. Speaking of pursuing music for a full time passion here, was there, you mentioned a few songs, but was there an artist or artists or genre or folks, even mentors, even like you gave the shout out to the founder of
mhm,
like who that you've looked up to recently, or
mhm.
that's also helped propel you or keep you motivated or keep you thinking about what's ahead for the future here?
Yeah, a couple mentors. My uncle Mike Nakamura, is the one who taught me guitar when I was younger. He was my most musical family member, and he was always interested in seeing me progress musically. Every time we'd hang out, every time we'd talk, he'd be like, "What have you been working on? Have you been getting any better?" And that's having that is very nice to keep you accountable, because otherwise, if no one cared, I might not have cared. So Mike's been very integral to me. Um, in college, there were a couple guys in my fraternity who were inspiring just because of how good they were. One of them, his name's Alex Murtha, who lives in Huntsville, Alabama now. He was inspiring in a lot of ways. He works for NASA. He's always a really smart guy. And he's still the best guitarist that I've ever seen perform live. And so I was like, wow, having that ability is like a superpower. It's crazy. Another one of my fraternity brothers named Stephen Russell was also good. And he always believed that he could be a career musician, and he is now. And that is something that I never encountered that belief in anyone else. So that self belief was always very interesting and attractive and impressive to me. And then my mom's brother, who I never met, he died when she was young. He always, like his, um, I guess his whole, I don't know what you would say, but he, like the way I view him in my mind is he was a guitarist. He was a rock guitarist. He loved AC/DC. All the pictures that I've seen of him, he is holding a guitar and shredding. So he would be another one who would just exists in my mind. But if we're looking for someone famous who the audience can relate to, Jimmy Buffett was always my number one, just because of how much joy he brought on stage to live performances, the stories he told, the life that he lived, the stories he lived. Um, One of the songs he talks about living his life like a song, and I kind of just wanted to live an adventurous life, and I think he embodied it pretty well. So he's been a inspiration for me.
Yeah, that's quite the crew. Would you say also your family had an influence on your upbringing, being interested in music, or like you mentioned, like your uncle, or even like your mom's side, or just in general, or that them being,
Definitely.
yeah. Oh,
I
that's
think that I got a good
mhm.
I told my dad this. I got a good musical education from my parents. They listened to a wide variety of music, and I enjoyed all the music they listened to. My dad was an apprentice electrician when he was, I guess, my age, when he was 23. So he wired our house, the house that I grew up in, to have speakers built in everywhere, which I guess, you can buy that now, but back in early 2000s, it was niche in our neighborhood that we could have music playing in every room and turn it off and on through each room. So there was always music playing in the house, as well as my dad had a good CD collection that he'd play in the car driving me to school. I remember number one was Jimmy Buffett's songs, like the rotation. It was a 6 track. Number one was Jimmy Buffett's songs, about Heart. Number two was Bob Marley's, I believe, Redemption album. Number three was Counting Crows, August and Everything After. Number four was REM, and then 5 and 6 he'd switch off. Sometimes it was Edie Brickell, if you know her. Sometimes it was Mumford and Sons, but it was just a lot. It was a wide variety, and I always enjoyed music because it was it was there.
Yeah, it sounds like a positive influence your family had on you and what you're doing here and sharing your story on today's show. In terms of your music education or talking about you know self-producing songs and everything, let's talk about your
Mhm.
first single. If I seem afraid, what was the origin behind that? Yeah, tell us more.
Yeah, thank you for asking. I wrote that song October 2022. It was one month into senior year of college. I wrote it in my college apartment bedroom. I don't really remember the the backstory. It wasn't as much of a eureka moment as other songs have been for me, but it was the first song that I remember liking. I had written probably 20 songs prior to that, and this was the first one that I was like, I would listen to this if it were not me and still enjoy it. And that's kind of my measurement for if it's a good song. Me writing it isn't enough. I want other people to like it. And so I try to listen to it as a listener, not as the writer. And yeah, I remember I wrote it probably in an hour. I left my room and I was like, I wrote a good song today. And that was kind of, it was like a weight off my shoulders knowing that I can do that because it took me quite a lot of tries to really feel that I had done a good one. But the overall sentiment of that song is being courageous in the face of fear and doing things when you're unprepared and doing things although you were scared. I don't think I'm sure everyone knows the FDR quote, the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. I don't really agree. I think fear can be good. Some of my fears include wasting my potential or letting people I love down, stuff like that, not being who I say I am. And I use these fears to motivate me to live the life that I'm trying to live. And so the song is admitting fear and saying I'm doing, my best to be courageous anyway.
Oh, that's great. We love the BTS, the behind the scenes on what goes on in your
Thank you.
shoes, obviously on the flip side. So we listen to all these great songs by you, but then at the back of the end of the day, it's like, wow, what is really Chad thinking about and what was the motivation behind or, the origin. But really great to hear. And obviously we'll share more of your inside scoop, your knowledge, obviously on the show here. Yeah, I wanted to also transition over to latest and greatest self-release of your debut album, Momentum. Talk a little bit more about the title meaning, what people can expect from it.
Mm, thank you. Yeah, the meaning of the title, I shopped around a bunch of different titles, and that was just the one that I liked the best. I think that I named it Momentum because, or this is how I rationalized it after having named it that, is that I didn't really know what I was doing. I had never made an album before. I didn't have any musical production experience. What I did was the daily grind. I just made steps every single day and kept continuing on the path forward. And part of it was I didn't feel I felt compelled to continue. Like I was like, all right, I started this, I have to finish. And that force, I just have coined, like I termed it momentum. I don't really know what that compulsion was or why I was motivated to do that because rationally it wasn't the smartest decision. I could have rationalized myself out of doing it, but in my head, I felt that there were other forces at play that really pushed me to do this. And I just named that force momentum. So thank you for asking. And then what was the second question?
Sure, yeah.
What to expect?
Yeah, talk about the album a little bit more. What listeners or daily grinders can expect.
Yeah. So if you listen to it, one, thank you. I appreciate that. That's awesome. They are personal stories from my life that are some humorous, some more true than others, but all emotionally authentic. The beginning of the album is country and Americana, and then it slowly goes into pop, and then it drops out of the pop and goes into um, acoustic Americana, as you would say again. I am not struggling, but I am still figuring out what exactly my brand is of my music because I just write songs and then organize them later. But if you listen to it, I do encourage you. You were asking about my family, Kelly. I have a skit on there, which is just my brothers talking. It's called Mom Didn't Like Her, and it's me and my three brothers in a room just having a good time, saying ridiculous things, making up this story about a mythical ex-girlfriend of mine who mom loved or didn't like, and there's an argument. But yeah, it's got a little bit of everything. So
Yeah, we like the variety, and we'll put in the show notes today where to find Chad's latest album and where to tune into him, in addition to listening to our show today. In terms of the album, Chad, do you have a personal favorite song on the album, or do you want to walk us through maybe one of the songs in regards to
Mhm.
just the thought process behind it, or different thoughts, feelings, emotions, part of that story you mentioned of some of the songs on there?
Yeah, I think that the song I'm proudest of is Alaska, which is the first song on the album. And I wrote that in March of 2024 after a conversation with my brother. So the backstory on that is my grandfather, when he was 21, was stationed as a military police in Alaska, in Anchorage at Fort Richardson. And my dad, when he was 21, he and his brother broke the world record for the longest stand-up jet ski trip in history. They went from Maine down around Florida through the Rio Grande up around the West Coast to Washington. So they became the first people to circumnavigate the United States on a stand-up jet ski. And those were both gripping, dangerous, daring adventures that inspired me during my childhood. And when I turned 21, I moved to Florida and got an office job and liked it and had a great time and made some great friends, but I didn't feel that I was doing anything challenging, fulfilling, or daring. And I was relaying this on the phone to my brother Cam, and I don't think the line in the song is "I don't have my own Alaska." I don't think that's exactly what I said to Cam. I think I said, I don't have an Alaska, dude. Like, our lives are easy, whatever. And then from there, I wrote that song on the floor, just sitting in my room, and I'm very proud to have captured that moment of yearning for more. The um, song is kind of like, I wish my generation had a harder life because we'd have more to brag about, we'd have more to be proud of. And I know that I will get a harder life and I will do an adventurous journey and difficult things will happen to me. And I think it will be helpful for me to look back and, listen to the song and say, okay, Chad, this is what you asked for. You can't complain about it now. And then even when I am an old man and I have stories to share with my grandchildren, I'll again be able to look back and be like, there was a time where I didn't have this and I really wish I did. So
Hmm.
that's part of the reason why I'm proud of that. And I'm also, those stories have lived in my mind for so long. I've been able to memorialize them and fix them into a permanent way, which is really cool. I mean, if no one else listens to it, my dad always will. My grandmother will always will to remember her husband. My parents and brothers will like it, and that means a lot to me. So thank you
Oh,
for asking that question, Kat.
definitely, yeah. Family first. Yeah, open the whole book. I feel like we're like literally on song 5 or 6 or whatnot in terms of
Yeah,
again the whole BTS here. I
I
love
appreciate
the
it. This is great.
yeah I love the storytelling on Alaska and yeah, like your family's in the books. You're gonna be in the books in the music space here. So you're in the books already on the podcast here talking to. Chad Frick on the show, we get lucky to have musical artists. So and you're off the charts essentially for our season 7. So really great to have you on the show. Speaking of,
Thank you.
I'd say part 2 of this question would just be favorite song. Do you have a different favorite song that you like to perform live, or is that like a
Mm.
different experience as well versus just recording?
Performing live, the crowd favorite is usually Dance with the Devil. It sounds like a song that so far when I've played it, people be like, "Who wrote that?" Like it sounds like familiar, and people think that they know it, and I'm like, "Oh, I wrote that," so that's really cool. It also has the heaviest drums, so like it's the best dance along to song, like headbanging kind of music. So when the crowd gets into it, that's really fun. And yes, that would be the one that I have the most fun playing live.
Mhm. It's like, yeah, there, come on, you guys, get with the program here. Uh,
Exactly.
but you also talk about, mention the intro from the East Coast, talk about your journey moving around in Mary, which is a homage to
Mm.
your home state of Maryland. Why do you
Yeah.
treasure where you came from? Like, remember where you came from? Like, that's one of the kind of quotes, like, similar to FDR that people know. Like, our show was founded in Chicago. I'm based in Portland, Oregon
Mhm.
now, but tell us about your homage and why do you treasure, where you're from?
Yeah, the way that I view it is that you could have been anyone from anywhere, and God or the universe or destiny or whoever you believe in put you where you were, where you are, as you were. I didn't have to be born in Maryland. I didn't have to have three brothers or two great parents or the family that I do, the upbringing that I did, every privilege and every limitation and ability that I have. Everything I'm not made me everything that I was and everything that I am. And I'm very proud of that. And I realize that that's either a beautiful coincidence or by grand design. And I'm more inclined to believe that it's by grand design. I just don't take that for granted. So I'm from Maryland. If I don't know if I would have chosen that if I had a choice, but I'm very glad that I didn't because it made me who I am and all the people there, the communities that I was a part of, the memories that I've made are, there's a quote that I'm gonna paraphrase. I'm not gonna say it correctly, but it's something like, I don't remember all of the meals I ever ate or all the books that I ever read, but nonetheless they built me. And I might not remember every interaction that I had in Maryland, every single step that I took, every breath of air that I took there, but nonetheless they built me, and I'm proud of who I am. And Maryland has a great deal of credit to take for who I am and for who everyone who I love is.
Yeah, really well said. Yeah, it's gotta start somewhere, but it's like we always look ahead and three steps in what the future holds, and the best is yet to come. Obviously, you speak a lot too about family. We probably said that keyword a few times. We'll just say during
Yeah.
our show here, your brothers and family are very important to you. Yeah, tell us more why about the importance. Mhm.
Yeah. Well, we all grew up very close. My brothers are named Cameron, Reed, and Brett. Cameron and Reed are at Clemson University. Cam's a sophomore, Reed's a freshman, and my brother Brett is a junior in high school back in Maryland. They all are very impressive to me. They all are able to stand on their own two legs as individuals, which is cool. I don't know if you're familiar with older sibling, younger sibling privilege. I believe in both of them. I think that some younger siblings have it easier because they have the privilege of having an older sibling. I'm not sure that I really gave them much to work with. I wish I could have given them more, but they all would have been great as only children. They're all, who they are and exceptional. We just have a lot of childhood memories, and we're all very similar. We're all very grounded and have the same foundation. And I think that's rare, and I really do appreciate that. I know a bunch of people who don't have strong relationships with their siblings, or their relationships fade as one sibling goes to college or moves to a new city. And we've all remained really close. If you look at the album Momentum. The cover art is me and my three brothers. Reed's driving, Cam and Brett are in the back seat. I just wanted to have that picture with them because I love them, and I also think that to go back to the term momentum, I wouldn't be who I am without them. They've built me and they've pushed me forward. I feel like knowing that they look up to me, I have a lot to prove, and I don't want to let them down. I want to be a good example and role model to them, and assure them that they can achieve their dreams and they can go on their daily grind, they can succeed and be whoever they want to be, and they are receptive to that. They understand I'm trying to do that. Where most, I'm not most, but I'm sure that some little siblings could get resentful about that, but they support me and they always have, and I'll always support them. Yeah, sorry for gushing about
Oh,
that and getting emotional, guys. If you guys are
oh,
watching.
Oh, it's all good. I have an older brother. Brag about him all the time.
Mhm.
Like but like you mentioned too, like family first and having those strong relationships because we can't take that for granted. Every family is
Mhm.
different. Every situation is different, and I come from a different state. You come from a different state, city, etc.
Mhm.
So it goes to show that we value a lot of great things in life, including family. So
Mhm.
it's really great to see that in how you've inspired not just your brother, your family, but then also to continue to build on what you do today in this space. Speaking of
Thank you.
music,
Wait, sorry, Kelly. I just want to shout out my mom too, because my mom used to always say the best gift that she gave me and my brothers was each other. And that is definitely true. And I want to say thanks, Mom, for doing that. And thanks, Cambridge and Brett, for being who you are.
Wonderful. Yeah, we are all about the shots too on the show here. Speaking of music, I also want to get us back on track here on the performance. And because we talked about you recording songs versus being a guest on our show or even performing. How's it like performing at various venues and locations? Tell us more. I guess in your shoes too, Chad. Of you enjoy it, like performing in front of an audience. What's the energy? What's the atmosphere?
hmm Yeah, it's different per gig and per venue. The first gigs I played, so I actually played my first live show less than a year ago. It was March 2024, and that was a brewery where they wanted background music and they wanted light pop in the back, like something that would just have be pleasant ambiance. Whereas I played a show in DC that was a ticketed show where I headlined in December, and obviously people are coming to see me and they're expecting for me to put on a real production and play my songs and make them dance and sing along and have a great time. I think that what will distinguish good artists versus bad artists. I forget where I saw this, but Billy Joel, they were asking him about, he just recently this year sold out, or maybe he didn't sell it out, but he played 100 nights at Madison Square Garden. And they're like, why have you been able to be so successful so late into your life? Why have you been able to have the career that you have? And he said, I'm good at the gig. And he said, if they want this, I'll do this. If they want that, I'll do that. But that's why I made it. I'm good at the gig. I give the people what they want. And I think that that's true not only in music, but in everything. You want to be good. You want to meet people's expectations. And that comes with knowing what their expectations are, asking questions, and being receptive to having to change up and adapt.
Yeah, really well said on the adaptation. Tailoring to your audience, but at the end of the day, also enjoying the experience and continue to keep on grinding in there and putting on amazing performances and get our daily grinders tuning today's show. Obviously, excited about what you do. Speaking of future outlook here, Chad, what do you still hope to accomplish in this field going forward? I know you're literally new to the space. We have great timing,
Mhm.
but mindset ahead. Like later this year or even a couple years out.
hmm Yeah, I am very new to the space. Like you said, I don't even feel like my music and writing career is in its infancy. I don't even think it. I feel like it's barely. It might not even have been born yet. It's still growing in the womb, is the way that I like to think of it. But I do want to tour the country. I would like to do a tour, be on a tour, and then as well as headline a tour. I want to get 1 million streams on my songs. I want to get 1 million listeners. These are things that I'm confident will happen with time as I continue. As long as I don't stop, it will. I'll reach that point. Um, but yeah, there are a number of goals that I'd like to reach. One specific one is I've never been to Alaska, and I'd like to play the song Alaska for a crowd in Alaska, which I think would be that would be like my I made it moment. Like, wow, I really went to Alaska and did this. So there are a number of them, but those are just a couple.
Yeah,
Mhm.
quite the tease. We'll have to get Chad back on a future episode of The Latest and Grace in his neck of the woods or where he's traveling on tour. If you venture out to the West Coast, please let us know. Uh,
Oh yeah.
all about the road to a mill. And then speaking of the daily grind, Chad, that's the name of our show. What does the daily
Yes.
grind mean to you?
Great question. Like I was saying about the name momentum, you can be impressed with yourself to have done something big. Like, oh, look, like here's 18 songs and it took me however long to do them and I wrote them all, whatever, but I didn't really look at it like that. I kind of just did every day what the tasks for that day were, and then one of those days I woke up and the album was complete. And I think that that's how all projects get done. You just do the task for that day, and then if you compound enough days, eventually the task will be complete. And so that's what the daily grind means to me is you don't really have to have the most motivation ever or the most passion ever. You just have to have enough for that day and to achieve what you need to achieve that day. And then if you do that every day, you will have great success. So
Yeah.
I don't know if that I haven't fully proven that on the largest scale yet, but that's what I believe and that's what I'll keep doing.
Yeah, this is great. I think that message, we have to rebrand our show here with the tagline, your definition. I think that fits great with what we're doing here and what you found this journey and what you're sharing with our audience on today's show here, Chad. But yes,
Thanks.
in closing, we talked about your daily schedule. You have quite the grind going on in the music space. What's on your daily grind, later this year if you look ahead to rest of 2025?
Yeah, so I'd like to do a tour this year and I'd like to reach 1 million streams this year. I also will have another album out, at least another album. I'd like to do an EP and an album and a number of singles. Of course, my goal is to play 15 live shows of originals and then of course more of covers if necessary or if those come about. I have another one for the year, another goal that I'm trying to think of. But those are some main ones.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, we wish
Mhm.
you all the best and continued success on the podcast. We'll be cheering you virtually from afar. But yes, as we say on the show, keep up the grind. Chad, story very inspiring on today's show. Do you have a word of the day to motivate our listeners out there, even a quote, saying,
Mm.
mantra?
Quote saying, I don't have a word, but I do have a quote or saying. I heard this recently. It's don't boo yourself off stage. I like it because it's related to music, but also the moral is that at least let the crowd boo you. Give it an attempt. If they don't like it, if the world doesn't like what you have to offer, that's fine. You at least you learned, but at least give yourself the opportunity to fail and don't don't fail before you start.
Yeah, I like
Or
it.
don't quit before you start. Mhm.
Yeah, I think that words of wisdom here. I think that quote fits great with your story. What encompasses what you're doing here at the World, inspire us on today's show, but really motivate us and continue to help us build on our own momentum in our industries and what we do as daily grinders. Last but not least, Chad, if listeners have questions, comments, want to learn more about you, want to follow you, want to listen to your latest album, how can they do so?
Oh, thank you, Kelly. Great question. My website is chadfrick.com, which should have all of my social media links, link to all the songs, all the videos, and a live performance calendar. On Instagram, I am Chad Frick without the I, ChadFrck. I'm most well versed in Instagram. I'm actually new to social media, which might sound ridiculous because I'm Gen Z, but I was reluctant to join social media for a while and then realized I had to in order to do this. But on Spotify or Apple Music or Amazon Music, YouTube, whatever you listen to, it's my name again, Chad Frick. And thank you so much, Kelly, for letting me do this. Make sure you listen to the Daily Grind podcast wherever you listen to podcasts.
Wonderful. Yes, we'll put where to find Chad, where to find his latest and greatest music, and enjoy.
And Kelly, can I give one more shout out?
Sure.
Danny Chungafung, who works for you, is a friend of mine from Maryland, and I want to shout him out. Thanks for telling me about this podcast, and thank you for all you do for Kelly and all you've done for me and my family. So
Wonderful. Yeah. Way to go, Danny. Keep up the grind as well. But yes, we'll put where to find Chad and all the greatness in today's show notes. As always, thanks again for tuning to today's episode. A big thank you to Chad for being on the podcast. Thanks again for tuning to today's episode. In the meantime, be sure to follow us on Instagram, X, and Facebook at Daily Grind Pod, and follow our podcast on Spotify and Apple to stay up to date with all of our content and events. Links are in the description. Also, check out our new YouTube channel for exclusive content, including video interviews and highlights from our nonprofit events. Search for Daily Grind Podcast or just follow the link in the description. Lastly, head over to our website, www.kjfwi.org, to shop our merch. Thanks for supporting the grind, and we'll catch you next time. As always, keep grinding.